Wheelers, what's happening? It's Joe Motor here. Welcome back to the Motorhood, and I'm back again to show you these two Tomica limited vintage race cars that I promised from the last video. Last video we looked at this other Tomica limited vintage piece from the Toys Club called the Prince Skyline 1500. One I've been looking for a while, and we cracked it open and looked at it up close in the last video. So if you didn't get a chance to see that, check out the last video we posted, along with a couple other cars we cracked. This one I'll be getting out again and putting in the display case soon, because what I'd like to do is an updated display case video, hopefully by mid-summer or end of summer. It's been a while since I've done one, and I've certainly added some cars and cleaned out a few cars and added a few cases. So definitely want to try and do that by the end of the summer, and this car will certainly be a part of it. But like I promised, we've got two more Tomica limited vintage vehicles in the mix here that I want to show you guys. And Tomica limited vintage, TLV as some people call them, is one of the coolest companies making 164 die-cast cars. They are incredibly detailed, incredibly accurate on scale, and are some of the more unique models, especially because they're based in Japan. You get a lot of the authentic Japanese model cars that you just don't see done by American companies. Now, that's not to say that American companies haven't caught on, because with the crazy JDM series that Hot Wheels got really popular with, and now other manufacturers like Greenlight and M2 are going to start coming out with JDM and Japanese cars. There's definitely an interest, and so I've got some really cool pieces coming from Greenlight and M2 later this summer, hopefully, and another TLV coming, which I'll talk about in a minute. But I want to get into these two cars first, because they are super cool and the packaging is super cool. So let's look at that first, and I'll tell you what I know about these cars, which is not much. This one here is just an amazing piece. It's a, I think the year of it is a 1969 Nissan Cedric, which is a car that was raced in stock car races, but also a car you could just purchase for sedan travel. Obviously, you got the four doors here. But this piece is put out by a sort of a subtitle of Crazy Ken's Car Club, and as you can see, it's Volume 2. The Volume 1 is a different car, an Isuzu, which I've actually got on order, so I'll be showing you that soon. But this one here is pretty cool. So let's look at the package. You have this sort of silhouette here that almost looks like James Bond, and the Crazy Ken's Car logo here. And then I'll show you the packaging. Crazy Ken is supposedly a dude by the name of Ken Yokoyama, and he is a musician. He's in a very famous band, apparently, in Japan. I wish I knew my Japan culture a little better. And he's very famous for collecting vintage cars, and so he partnered with TLV to create 164 die-cast scale replicas of the vintage cars that he collects. And so I'm assuming, get my camera to zoom in here, that this is Crazy Ken right here, and he's holding the 164 die-cast car that we're about to look at. So he's supposedly a very famous musician and collects vintage cars, and so this series is dedicated to his vintage car collection. So this is all in Japanese, I believe, on the back, so I'm not going to be able to read any of this. But for those of my international viewers, especially those of you in Japan who understand Japanese, this might be time to chime in if I'm saying anything wrong, or if you want to add anything to the discussion. One of the things I love about TLV packaging is they come in these beautiful packages. I usually don't collect packaging, but the TLV I usually hang on to, and they open up like this sort of book, sort of a booklet, and there is a ton of information here, as you can see, a little black and white of the car here, and then just probably everything you need to know about this car and Crazy Ken is in this paragraph, but I certainly can't read that. So if anyone out there has access to this language and want to translate any of it for us, that's more than welcome. Here's another shot of Crazy Ken, I believe, with another holding the car. We're going to take a look at it up close in just a second. But as you can see over here is the actual car, and then it comes with its own sort of little collector box that you can keep it in. A lot like the other one we looked at here, but very primo packaging here done by TLV. So we're going to get this open in just a second. Let me show you this other one This is the Suzuki Fronte. I think it's a 1968 Ferrante Ss 360 is what this car is. And this one was done in race car livery and raced across the Autostrada del Sol, which just means the Sun motorway, which is in Italy. I think it runs, I don't remember how many miles. You'll have to look that one up. But this car was driven by a race car driver named Stirling Moss, and they did this to sort of promote the car. It was one of the smallest cars available. I think the motor was almost as big as a motorcycle engine, and it was in the back of the car, a lot like a Volkswagen Beetle. And you'll see when we get this car out, it's accurate to scale. It's a tiny little thing. But this one, and then I think there was a yellow one that were raced in the Autostrada del Sol to sort of promote these cars. And they were, I think they were called roly-polies by the Japanese audience because they were so small. Let me just show you outside of the package really quick so you get a little feeling of the design. It's pretty much the same all the way around, but I just want to give you a feel for what it's like. Very, very nice detailed packaging. And then of course you open it up here and you have the full history here, which here you have a shot of the actual car on the racetrack, which is very cool. And you can find pictures of the actual car online if you look this up. The Suzuki Ss 360, you'll find pictures through Google of the actual car. And so here it is, the same sort of format with the collector box up front and the actual car below. But like I said, I'm going to get both of these out. We'll take a look at them up close. I just don't want to spend time unwrapping them on camera. So these are going to both go in the display case. Very cool pieces, very cool packaging. I can't say enough good things about Tomica Limited Vintage. Let's get these cars out and look at them a little bit more up close. Be right back. Alright, we've got these cars cracked open and loose so we can take a look at them up close. And as you can tell right off the bat, this little Suzuki right here is probably the smallest die-cast car that I've ever put in my collection. It is tiny. It is so tiny. It almost seems like it's 1/87 scale, but knowing Tomica, they do things very accurately to 1/64 scale, and this was a tiny car. If you can see, compared to the Nissan Cedric here, it is almost only about 3/4 the length of the Nissan Cedric. So it is tiny, tiny little thing. No wonder they called it the roly-poly. But again, it was meant to be a tiny car, and it had the engine in the back, and the motor was not much bigger than most motorcycle engines. So that makes sense when you're thinking about it. But let's take a look at this car up close. It is quite the little bug, even though it's not a real Volkswagen bug. But you can see the beautiful livery. The tampos on the side here are just sharp as can be. A lot of times on Hot Wheels, because they're so mass produced, the tampos on the side get blurry or they don't get stamped quite right. They don't have a problem with this at TLV. These are all done extremely well done details with all of the lettering, very clean, sharp imagery, very nice. These tires are very sweet, nice treaded black tires with a black wheel well. And then back here on the rear panel, some really wonderful details, including the tail lights. A little J here sticker on the back, and then the license plate. Let's see how close I can get here to show you that. Really nice details here, and you can see the Fronte lettering here on the top of the trunk there. Or really, I guess that would be the hood. There you go. And then working our way back around the other side, same details, just different side. But you can see here both the Italian and Japan flag there, which the race that it ran was in Italy, but car of course manufactured in Japan. And then take a look at the interior. Again, TLV is incredibly detailed, and they make great choices about what they choose to put in. So you don't necessarily have a super detailed dash, but you can see some texture in it. But what they do choose to do is nice textured seats and an incredibly detailed steering wheel. Look at that thing. It's almost, you've got the wooden sort of inlay on the round part of the steering wheel with the centerpiece there, which is really, really beautiful. Really nice detail that they add in there, and they just make the right choices about it. So you get the best of the best. And even the trim around the windows is beautiful. You get a little windshield wiper detail here. Let me show you the hood and the front end, and then we'll be done with this car. So I guess Stirling Moss must be one of the signatures on here, signing the front of the car about the sort of commemorating the race. And then that's the Suzuki logo there on the front. And then take a look at this front end. Beautiful, look at that. Nice grille, cute little buggy-eyed headlights there, and another license plate shot here in the front for you. And then take a look at the base. There's the information on the base. Not too detailed, but nice and clean. And so that's a beautiful car. As you can see, as I'm holding it in my hand, it's not much bigger than my thumb, the end of my thumb. So it is one of the tiniest 1/64 scale cars I've ever put in the collection. So that's going to go in the display case. Let's take a quick look at this one. I know I'm running on a little bit, but let's take a look at the Nissan Cedric from the Crazy Ken Car Club, which is the CKCC here on the side, and the number 69, which I don't know if Crazy Ken is obsessed with cars made in 1969 or if he was born in 1969, but the other car in Series 1, which I'll show you later on in a few weeks when it comes in, also has the number 69 on the side. So Crazy Ken really enjoys that number, whether he was born that year or just enjoys cars made in that year. But look at the livery on this. This is just fantastic graphic work here with the wrench and the lettering on the side on the rear fender here. And then we've got lettering on the bottom rear door going to the number there, and then into the front. All the way to the top, there you have Crazy Ken's Car Club. Some lettering there. And then let's work our way to the back of this one with beautiful lensed tail lights. And when we say lensed, we mean that they're actual clear dyed plastic pieces. They're not painted, they're not tampoed, they're actual separate parts that get inserted into the car, so they look even more realistic. And then back here, of course, is the license plate. Got the number 69 on that as well. And Crazy Ken's Car Club logo here is sort of vignetted in the back window. Beautiful details. This is one of my favorites. I think this may be my favorite TLV so far. Just a beautiful piece. I guess I should put this on a rotating table, but get around to the front here and you can see the hood. Nice red and blue stripes going down that white hood. And then take a look at the headlights. This is probably one of my favorite parts. We have writing on top of the headlights, because technically you don't need your racing lights, your headlights when you're racing. But we've got the number 69 there in blue and red, and then some lettering on the front headlights there on the right side. And also the license plate again, and the insignia for the Nissan Cedric there in the center of that grille, which is incredible detail right there. Just beautiful. I could hold this in front of the camera all night long. So this is a beautiful piece, and it's got the detailed trim, and of course the windshield wipers on that one. Go around here to take a look and see the interior. You do see a steering wheel there with some detail on it. I don't see that nice wood paneling that's on the Suzuki, but that's okay. Everything's pretty much black in the interior there. And you also have these the lensed window, the clear plastic windows, which you do have on the Suzuki as well, but the front windows don't exist, so it's a lot easier to see inside that beautiful steering wheel. But this one, it's all lensed windows, so it's kind of harder to see in there. But again, beautiful, beautiful vehicles. I just can't say enough about these, so I like to spend a little extra time showing you the Tomica Limited Vintage when they come in. I'm such a fan of these. I hope they continue making more, especially in the vintage racing variety. And like I said, I have another one from Crazy Ken's Car Club coming in next week, or a couple of weeks from now. So I'll be sure and upload a video of that and compare the two a little bit as well. So I want to thank you guys for tuning in, joining me in on the Motorhood here. I've got a Crackin' Yak video coming up next, so hope you'll stick around for that. Thanks for watching. Keep on motoring. We'll see you next time.